Thank you for registering, campers. Come sit by the fire and await your counselors, Michelle and Samantha. Welcome to Camp Fear.
Welcome to Camp Fear, where we talk about horror movies that are streaming for free on sites like Tubi, YouTube, Momitu, all of them. Today we're talking about Another Cabin in the Woods, which is on Tubi, and there will be spoilers ahead, so please give it a watch and then come back and join us.
In this tongue-in-cheek spoof, horror-savvy characters are trapped in yet another cabin in the woods where they are forced to navigate murder and red herrings to uncover who will stop at nothing for their twisted happily ever after. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I loved this one.
I loved it.
Such a good watch, especially if you are an avid horror fan, because all the the little tidbits in the background, really the audio cues in this one and the references were just so good.
And this is a movie from Terror Films, and they've been putting out some great stuff. So I kind of expected it to be good, but
cool.
not this good.
Thoroughly enjoyed, and I will probably be watching it again. My husband heard me cackling from downstairs, and he's like, "What is so funny?" I'm like, "We're just gonna watch it, okay?" So you're gonna sit down and watch this with me. We have two cars heading up to another cabin in the woods. So they're heading out there. There's one car with 3 and another with 2. There's a couple and then 3 friends. 4. There's 4 people. There's 4 people in the first car. So you have, let me get all the names right. So you've got Grant, who is engaged to Sarah, who has the best friend, Danny, who is home from living abroad. And then you have the other friend, Beth. So you have the other friend, Beth. Beth is so aggressive. I was like, I don't like this girl. I don't think I'd want to be multiple hours in a car with this girl.
No. And
she's
randomly,
so
Beth is diabetic.
Yeah, no,
Just randomly. Okay.
But that did culminate.
It did, yeah.
That does pay off later, even though it was brought up a little on the sudden side.
Yeah.
So that's good. So they arrive at this cabin where Grant and Sarah are going to have a nice little wedding at the babbling brook outside, and then have a nice weekend with all their friends and just low, chill wedding. Yep. And so everyone's all happy and there for them. And then a third car arrives, and there is, what's his face? What's that guy's name? Danny, Beth. What?
I just wrote that he was
Jay.
Jay.
I was so proud of myself. I remembered to write down names this time. So this guy Jay shows up, and he's going to be performing their wedding. He's like a friend of one of theirs, and so they show up at the cabin. They start getting settled in, find their rooms, and they're trying to find service on their phone. And this is the first instance of the film that I was like, oh, it's this kind of film. This makes me so happy. The operator says, "I'm sorry, there's no service in this horror film." I hope you wouldn't watch this before watching this. Watch the movie before watching this, because I just gave away so much. And we said spoilers, there's so many background things of this movie that are so wonderful. So the groundskeeper comes and visits them. His name is Walter, and he's got this really weird vocal thing that happens.
He goes back and forth between a normal voice and a demonic voice, but no one acknowledges it.
Right.
He's just like, "Welcome to the cabin in the woods."
And even the opera, on the radio, they're like, "There's this guy with this. What is going on with his voice?" Oh, I need to watch this again so I can get all of the background, because it was just that good. And then I wrote aggressive girl is diabetic. Okay, so she's so there's no phones in the cabin. It doesn't work. Service is shoddy out there in this horror film. And the only working phone is at Walter's cabin, which is a little ways away. He keeps saying the distance. I didn't write it down specifically, but he's like, "Oh, it's a half mile away from here," but they say it over and over again throughout the film. So it's just kind of funny. yeah, so then we learn that Beth is diabetic, and then they have their lovely little woodland outdoor wedding by the brook, which is very beautiful. Um, the radio is guessing who will die first, and then they're like, "Enjoy this royalty-free music." Oh, there's gonna be a lot of laughter in this video, so laugh with us. All right, so we have Carter and his girlfriend, and they're like hot and heavy throughout the whole movie, you know, because we do play up those stereotypes in this one, but so they're going hot and heavy, and she goes downstairs because their room is in the downstairs bedroom. So he goes down there, and then Jay follows because he's like, "Oh, this girl's totally making eyes at me." She's not. And he is very forceful towards her, and her boyfriend shows up and beats the brakes off of Jay, rightfully so. And then he runs out into the middle of the woods because he's got to go pee, and he's embarrassed, as he should be. And then he gets an arrow through the hand while he's peeing, and so he's got to like get that off, and he's running through the woods, and he gets another arrow through the junk. And I said, I have no sympathy for this guy. That should happen to all who do what he was attempting to do. So,
but we see that he's killed by like a masked man and like in a black hoodie and
all decked out with a nice little crossbow. So Sarah, so we cut back to the cabin, and Sarah, the new wife, is a little standoffish to Danny because her now husband, is best friends with this attractive woman, and they've been friends since they were kids. So they've always they grew up together, and Danny swears like, he's not my type. I don't want him like that. He's all you. Yeah. But she has doubts that this is true. Grant's forever woman.
Oh yeah.
You know, she was kind of like, I'm doubting Sarah's the one. And she brings that up to Carter, and, you know, so he's a little like, you know, if my boy's happy, it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. I don't care.
Sarah is a little worried about Jay because this is the next day, and that's when a lot of that conversation happened as well. So Jay hasn't shown back up, which, oh well. But Sarah kind of pulls Grant off to the side because she's also a little jealous and wants him to have distance from Danny. And she's like, "Oh, will you please go check on Jay? He's missing, and I don't know, you know, he's my friend's brother or whatever." Yeah. So he goes and looks for him. They can't find him anywhere. Danny had joined him at one point. So wife is worried about Jay. Grant goes to look for him. Danny went with him, and we see Walter actually owns the crossbow that we see killed Jay. So right now we're like, ooh, is Walter with the demonic voice box? Is he the killer? We shall find out eventually.
And then that night, while playing strip spades, Grant challenges Danny to participate, and she playfully takes off her sock. And Beth also makes a cake for everyone, but she can't eat it. So everyone is eating Beth's cake. And she's like, I'm diabetic. I can't make one.
I can't make a cake. Yeah.
So Grant goes into the woods to look for the officiant, Jay, and he stopped by the property manager. But he stops by the property manager's house first. Danny jump scares Grant, and then they bump into the property manager, who has a crossbow, like you said. The property manager says that he hasn't seen the officiant, but he will help them look for him. And then they head into the woods with his crossbow. Then we go back to the house, and Beth cuts her finger, and Sarah passes out from the blood. Yeah. Sarah comes to, and she and Beth go downstairs to flip the breaker. But now they can't find Danny, and so the property manager says she probably went back to the house, and so they leave the woods. And that's when we get back to the house, and they realize that Trish is missing. And we see that because she got her throat slashed in the shower, and then her body was dragged, and they can't find Trish.
Yeah, and everything was all nice and cleaned up. I was like, dang, good work. So the lights come back on, and then there's like a little montage of what everyone is doing. And, you know, Sarah's kind of mad at Grant because he's not listening to her the way she wants him to. Yeah. And then Carter is still up, you know, sort of staring into the fire blankly, just waiting for Trish to come back because she is nowhere to be seen. There's no sign of her anywhere.
Well, and they think that Trish and Jay went off to go have an affair somewhere, just like frolicking in the woods, and
Yeah.
she'll just come back later.
So poor Carter's just like devastated.
I know.
Worried and devastated. Okay. So Carter is wanting to sort of, he goes out into the woods. He's looking for, because this was the next day after he's been up all night. He's worried. He's, so he goes to Walter's house in a very aggressive manner. And he wants to he's knocking on the door. He wants to break in, and Carter or Grant talks him out of it. So he ends up not breaking in, but he does end up coming back later. But cut to the cabin, and then Sarah and Danny have a little bit of a heart-to-heart.
Yeah.
Where she's like, I promise I don't want anything to do with Grant in that manner.
Well, she keeps saying that Grant isn't her type.
Yeah.
He's not my type, and all that. Kept saying that over and over again. And
Yep. And Beth and Sarah just kind of like, is he not your type because?
And I was like, please.
Right. I was like, so, but nothing is established in it, but they're alluding to okay, well, what is your type, girl? So Carter gets into. Oh, I'm sorry. The power goes out again when Danny goes to find what Carter and Grant are up to. Power goes out again, and Sarah does not want to go back into the basement. But Sarah and Beth go back down into the basement to flip the breaker, and that's when they find Trish's body in a shower downstairs, and she's wrapped up in a tarp. So, yeah, and that's when they run back upstairs and they're like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah. And Beth, being the only smart person, is like, we should leave.
Yes.
And Sarah's like, I'm not leaving without Grant. And I was like, I get that.
Yeah.
He's your new husband. But big spoiler, that's when I knew Sarah was the killer.
Yeah, for sure. Because you got to stay or either keep you in danger or lead you to.
Yeah.
So Sarah is all, no, we're not. I got to wait till everyone's back. And Beth's like, fine. She's so upset. But I'm like, just take one of the cars and go. But so everyone comes back and they try to leave. But the big car that would fit everyone is not starting. So then they pop the engine or pop the hood. And there's poor Walter's head stuffed into the engine.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's 2 or 3 cars there. And either the big car has engine problems because there's a head in it. And then the other car, all the tires are flat.
I don't know what happened to the third one, but because that was Jay's car.
That was Jay's car.
So something was wrong with that one, I'm sure.
I don't remember.
Poor Walter. Maybe the shock of Walter's head, they forgot to check the third car.
Maybe.
Oh, funny. So Carter is in Walter's house trying to use the phone. And we get the operator again. It's like, I told you already, there is no service in this horror film. So he's like, okay, well, there's, but then he's looking around trying to find Walter because this was before the reveal. I don't think he was there for, but he finds Jay's body in there. So we find Jay dead, we find Trish dead, and now who's next? Carter comes back to the cabin, learns that his girlfriend is dead. He's obviously distraught. So Beth needs her insulin. And she kind of she's starting to feel really not great. So she needs her insulin. So she goes into her bedroom, locks the door, and she's like, I want to be safe. I'm gonna lock the door, right? So they're trying to get into her. We're like, Beth, are you okay? Yada yada yada. And she's like, just leave me alone. I need a minute. But earlier we saw her put her insulin away, and the needle was inside the case, and now it's not. So we know that it was tampered with. So she gives herself a shot. And then starts having massive seizures, foaming at the mouth. Beth is a goner.
Yeah, Beth is dead.
So they try to escape in Jay's car. Danny finds Walter's head. That's when, sorry, I had a little out of order. That's when we find Walter's head stuck into the engine block, and that's not fun. So they go back into the house. They're a little defeated. We just got to make it through. We got to find a way out of here. And, Sarah's just lost her best friend, and so
Mhm.
she is not okay.
Yeah.
And Danny and Grant go to get the bodies out of there because Sarah's like, I just can't look at this anymore. She just
Yeah.
can't handle it. So Danny and Grant take the bodies to another room, and then Danny kisses Grant because, of course, I was waiting for that to happen. And Sarah catches them. Dun, dun,
Mhm.
dun.
Yeah, Danny tells Grant that she loves him,
Yep.
but he runs after Sarah instead.
So Carter goes and changes the tires on the one with the flat.
Mhm.
And of course, a thunderstorm starts because
It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta have to have a thunderstorm
Uh-huh.
at the heights. So a thunderstorm starts, and so he's got the car jacked up, and he loses one of the bolts into underneath. So he's got to and so it was actually a really tense moment.
It was a tense moment.
I was
yeah.
waiting for this car to drop on him, and he's hearing things. So he stops and is like, so he gets the bolt, and he's like, okay. So so he's a little relieved, laying on the ground, and then we see someone pick up the axe, the good old wood chopping axe,
Mhm.
and stands above Carter, and he sees who it is, and he's like, oh, you. And then we hear the thwack. The killer
Mhm.
cuts his arm off and then kills him with the axe.
Yeah,
and
he bleeds out
Yep.
basically. Yeah.
And so he knows who the killer is, but he's going to be too dead to tell anyone. So then we end up with a boss bitch fight in the rain.
Mhm.
But they end up running inside and having a boss bitch fight indoors. So Danny and Sarah are physically fighting. They're all over the house. They're all over each other. And then Sarah runs to get a weapon. Danny has the axe. So it looks like Danny's the killer at this point.
Mhm.
And then before she's about to give it to Sarah, Grant shows up. He pushes Danny out of the way, and she ends up with a bracket
Yeah.
through her back, and she dies as Grant is trying to get Sarah to wake up. And this was another really funny moment because my husband had come downstairs, and he always makes a comment on whatever I'm watching, but he's like, yeah, shake her more. That'll be great. And I'm like, but he didn't know that this was like a comedy. So I'm like, yeah, that's the joke. So Grant's just like shaking Sarah like they do in horror movies, like, wake up, wake up. Because earlier when Sarah passed out, Beth smacks her across the face.
That's true. That's true.
So everything is just amped and over exaggerated in this movie. And I loved it. So he's just shaking her for so long. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she finally wakes up like they typically do. And so they get out of there. Danny dies slowly off to the side, seeing the love of her life with someone else.
Yeah.
And so then they wait for you hear police in the back and like with these thick accents, like these thick, almost Bostonian accents, like, oh, we got another body over here. So you hear them all in the background, and Grant and Sarah just like looking off into space because what a rough night. And then they leave, and Sarah's like, oh, I need my jacket. And she goes, changes her shoes, gets her coat. And then she's reminiscing on the night, and we see how she is the killer. You'll do.
Well, she picks up her jacket that she left behind, and it's the black hoodie.
Yeah.
So basically, Sarah killed everyone because she's super jealous of anyone that Grant has ever been friends with, talked to, looked at. Like, so it's a jealousy motive.
Talk about isolation too. Like normally, manipulative partners isolate you from your family, but she just killed everyone.
Yeah, she just killed everyone.
She didn't have to put that manipulative effort into it, just murder.
Not at all. Yeah, and so at the end, when we find out that Sarah's the killer, she and Grant just go off to live their assumed happily ever after. I mean, good luck to his coworkers and anyone else he ever crosses at the grocery store.
I mean, Grant's got to catch on sometime, right? But he didn't seem that that up with that with it.
So what did you think of it?
I thought it was hilarious. Another detail that I thought was so funny, and again, I hope you watched it before, because you know how in horror movies you go outside and then there's all the animal noises?
Yeah.
Did you catch the different animal noises?
No.
So every time they went outside and had the establishing shot that they're in the woods, it was a different animal noise. At one point it was a monkey. Another point it was a dolphin.
No, that might have been when I was like writing notes.
I really recommend going back. It's so
Okay,
every
yeah, I'll
time we
watch
go
it again.
outside, the dolphin really got me. Just the horror details that they put in the background, the radio announcers in the
Yes.
back were making me laugh so hard that like I had to go back and listen to the dialogue because I wanted to hear them more than the character.
And as I was watching it, I was thinking, so did they add the radio announcer dialogue like after the fact, or was that originally part of the script? You know?
Right. Yeah, because it interwove so well between dialogue. So like they would always be talking, but it would be garbled while there was dialogue, and then they'd raise up the volume and be clear in between the character dialogue. So it was really cleverly done to where it was clear, but if you weren't paying attention, you'd miss it.
Yeah.
So it was one of those you really have to listen to this movie closely, and it was I thought it was just such a nice, fresh change of pace in the horror comedy genre.
Yeah.
Just the jokes and the just poking fun at the tropes is always a blast.
Yeah.
So I'm a good solid 4.5 on this
Okay.
one. I love this movie. It was great.
I loved it until the third act. I understand the motive, but the scene between Danny and Grant making out, like the whole time she's like, he's not my type, he's not my type.
Mm-hmm.
And, am I upset because now I don't have a chance with Danny? Probably. So I thought killing the property manager didn't go in with Sarah's motive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it, like he's a witness, but it just didn't go with the motive.
Higher body count.
I didn't like Beth's insulin overdose because I thought it was kind of like a cheap kill.
Yeah.
With her being such an aggressive bee, like I wanted her to have something more that was like more fitting for her personality.
A big step to the bad guy moment.
I didn't like that. I mean, I get it. Sarah is jealous and Grant can do no wrong in her eyes, but at no point was she like, so saw you kissing Danny. What was that all about?
Yeah, right. She just ran off because she's like, I know I'm going to kill everyone.
It's very much in the vein of a scary movie, Naked Gun type farcity. Yeah. So I loved that. I have the commentary was amazing. Like, oh my God, it's so funny. It's an hour and 17 minutes, so good pacing. Yeah. It's a good time for it. I give it 3 out of 5 stars just because the third act wasn't for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just look at it with the over the topness and the tropes, and I was just like, I just went with it.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely enjoyed it, and I will watch it again just for the commentary. It was so funny. So thank you for watching, and we will catch you next time. Bye.